Welcome back to Water Hose Drinkers. Today is September 13th. I'm Josh Bevel. This is my co-host and my cousin, Alex Smith. So, Al, song of the week.
Josh, I'm just going to keep putting out bangers. It's what I do. It's Down Under by Men at Work. If you haven't heard it, go listen now. Just absolutely unreal vibes.
Welcome to the land down under.
Welcome to the land down under.
I mean, underneath this water hose? Come on.
Where women glow and men plunder.
So my song of the week is Estimated Profit by the Grateful Dead.
Banger.
Man, I wish I was alive to see Jerry Garcia when he was performing, but I went to Dead and Company at the end of May this year, and dude, it was life-changing. Life-changing. So, a little general discussion here. What do you want to talk about first?
Let's open up with Texas, Alabama. I feel like that was kind of the story of the weekend.
Dude, I know you had Texas. I know you were thrilled about it, but dude, Texas is a legit contender for the national championship.
Texas is a legit contender. For anyone questioning, go back to episode 1. I put in my playoff prediction. Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Florida State 3, Texas 4. It is documented.
Man, I'm not going so far as of right now to saying Texas is back. I'm not saying that. They could be. They're on the right track for me to change my mind, but man, Bama's got a lot of work to do if they want to even be in the SEC. I mean, they got a lot of losable games left on their schedule.
They have a lot of losable games left. I think LSU's still a really good team. Ole Miss is a challenging team. Arkansas looks good this year. A&M's always going to be dangerous. I know they got waxed by Miami, but when you have a team that talented, always a threat.
Iron Bowl's always tough.
Iron Bowl's always tough. Texas, this problem has never been skill players. It's never been offensive scheme. It's never been coaching. It's never been recruiting. It's been in the trenches. I guess partially trench recruiting. And they have upgraded so much on the offensive and defensive line. That's how they go into a place like Alabama. I can't look at you.
But, dude, Quinn Ewers, he's a legit Heisman contender. I mean, if anybody at the beginning of this year had any picks on him or Shedeur Sanders,
I wonder what the preseason odds for Shedeur Sanders were.
Dude, probably like
15, 20,000?
Probably. But going to some NFL, man, the Bengals looked like absolute dog shit.
That was a strange game, just odd. I know it was rainy, conditions were not favorable, but Joe Burrow just looked off. Bengals could not get anything going offensively. Mm-mm. The Browns, however, looked really good defensively, really good on the ground. Deshaun Watson did a good job. Like I said, bad weather. Browns a sleeper in the AFC North?
Maybe so. And, to stay on the ground, Nick Chubb, 18 carries and 106 yards. Wish they would have gotten him in the end zone, but, Joe Burrow, 14 for 31, 83 yards. I mean, it just kind of seems like the Browns are clicking right now. And the Bengals, got to get a little rust off, a little rusty.
They do have to shake some rust off. And I feel like a lot of people thought that the Browns' run game would slow down without Kareem Hunt and just putting it all on Nick Chubb. But like you said, only 18 carries. I know that last week was a home game, but the past 6 road games, Nick Chubb's under for carries as a player prop has hit. So, obviously they had the split backfield last year, but Jerome Ford looked really good coming in for Nick Chubb. And I kept on thinking it was Nick Chubb because one's 34, one's 24.
Yeah, very similar. And if you just glance at it, it's easy to get mixed up. But last thing I got on that game is the Browns' D-line's good, man.
Oh, yeah. Myles Garrett.
Dude.
Come on.
The Bengals' O-line did not play a good game whatsoever.
And they just cut Lyle Collins.
They cut him?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I don't know exactly what that situation was. I didn't fully understand it. Just saw the news that Lyle Collins was cut by the Bengals. 30 years old. I mean, thought
What
to
is
be
that, one season with them?
I think one season.
Enough of that, but dude, Sunday night SmackDown, Cowboys
Sunday
and
night
Giants.
SmackDown.
What are your thoughts on that game?
Holy cow. D-Roz, I'm sorry, but the Cowboys always do this. In like a game where they're only favored to win by maybe a touchdown, and they just beat the dog shit out of somebody in the regular season. You're like, oh my God, Dallas is back. And then I'm never going to be on the Dallas hype train until they prove it to me in the postseason.
Well, I'm going to have to agree with that. Sorry, Dylan, but Dylan's even said, he's skeptical. He's less confident than he was a year ago. But Tony Pollard, he had a great game. 14 carries, 70 yards, 2 tugs. Dude, they look good. Dak didn't really do anything crazy. Had a decent game, but if the Cowboys can limit the turnovers, man, they're going to be dangerous. But like you said, they got to really do something in the postseason to shut everybody up.
They do have to go through the Eagles in the division. Mm-hmm. I don't really know what to make of the playoff picture in terms of the NFC. Obviously, they have only played 1 week, but a lot of teams just look sneaky.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to play the Packers in the playoffs.
No.
I wouldn't want to play the Lions. I wouldn't want to play, honest to God, the Saints. I know
in the wild card game, the Saints, I was just about to say that.
I know they won so ugly, but it's just I don't know how much faith I have in the Giants defense to say, oh, wow, that was a really good defense that they just dropped 40 on.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just still not sold on Daniel Jones. I'm not. I just don't understand giving him all that money.
In his defense, he has yet to have a great supporting cast. He's had Saquon, but they've underutilized him as a receiver. He's got Darren Waller this year. But in the receiving core, ever since Odell left New York, it's been bad.
Yeah.
It's been real bad.
They did draft Jalen Hyatt this year, so you got some promise there.
You got some promise, but I mean, Jalen Hyatt seems like a one-trick pony to me. He's going to be faster than just about any DBs lined up across. I don't see like a true wide receiver one there.
Dogs.
Georgia beat Ball State. I believe the final was 45-0. Is that correct?
45-3. Had the over on that game and it was 46.5.
Oh, beautiful.
And that is a hypothetical, people. We do not gamble. Once again, hypothetical. Please call 1-800-GAMBLER, and if you're in Middle Georgia, you can join our chapter. The leader is my co-host, Alex Smith. He is the
Gamblers
president.
Anonymous. We meet Wednesday nights at Waffle House. It's a really good thing to get the guys together and just let
And
our
girls.
demons out.
And girls.
And girls. Plenty of girls there, too.
Dogs. 45-3.
There are some running game worries. I'll come out and say it. I'm not overly impressed with the push that the offensive line is getting right now. I also think that the running back room's super banged up. Obviously, we're seeing Dylan Bell as a receiver come in and play running back for the Dogs, although he looked great in the limited snaps he got. Kendall Milton, I've gotten to this point where I'm so afraid that he's never going to get back to 100%. I know that he was a full participant in the game on Saturday, but his vision, his cutting, it just doesn't look right. He's a big power back, but he's tentative to get in there and lower his shoulder, and I just wonder if some of that's come from all of the injury bugs he's had throughout the year. Overall, I mean, it's Ball State. You can't make too many drastic conclusions, but we have South Carolina coming up this weekend. Georgia's a 27.5-point favorite. Last time Georgia lost to South Carolina was in 2019. South Carolina came in as a 24.5-point dog and beat Georgia in double overtime. That was the year that Georgia went 11-1, went on to play LSU in the SEC championship. Got absolutely smoked by Joe Burrow. I threw up in my hotel room after. It was terrible.
You want to tell everybody why you threw up in the hotel room?
Well, I started the day off with a jumbo mango margarita, and then I asked the waitress for quote-unquote the largest receptacle of beer that you have. I packed 10 shooters into my belt going into the game. And then after the game, I started drinking doubles at the hotel bar. That's what Joe Burrow did to me.
Did you see what No. Sean Marino said about the UGA running back room?
What do you say?
He said something along the lines like, if I was at running back room and wide receivers in there at running back, like, I'd be pissed. Like, this is unacceptable. Like, I'd be fired up. I don't know if it was really like a stick at him, but
Maybe trying to light a fire underneath the running backs right now. But Dejon Edwards is coming back this weekend. And Josh, I got to be honest, I think Dejon's the best back on the team.
Yeah.
That's no knock to any of the other guys behind him. I just feel like he has been so slept on his entire career. Has never had, just the absolute keys to the kingdom in the running back room. And I think that he could come back really strong this weekend and do it. If Georgia loses this weekend, it is because Spencer Rattler made magic happen.
yeah, I mean, they got to get after that quarterback like UNC did. I mean, they had 9 sacks.
South Carolina ranks 129th in the country right now with 10 sacks allowed through 2 games.
Sheesh. But, should Dog fans be worried about Lad McConkey with the back injury? He's not playing this coming Saturday against South Carolina.
I don't think that they should be worried. I've heard that it's more of a nagging injury and that Lad sitting out weeks 1 and 2 are precautionary. I think that if Saturday against South Carolina was absolutely do or die, that Lad McConkey would be on the field.
Yeah. Georgia Southern?
How about them Eagles?
Dude, that was absolute big win against UAB. Sorry, Trent Dilford, you suck. But, man, UAB's got a damn good football team. Their quarterback is legit. But one thing I do want to talk about, Davis Brin, 38 for 47, 318, and 2 tutties. Dude,
Very nice.
80-something% on the day. I mean, Davis had a great game. I mean, I was really proud of the boys. They didn't let up. Honestly, like, I didn't see anybody kind of dragging around. They were all gas, no brakes from first whistle to the last one.
Something I wanted to throw in there is, I know that people have conflicting opinions about PFF grades. I like them. Some people don't really care for them. Regardless, if you're a Georgia Southern fan, this fits your narrative, so everybody's going to love it. Davis Brin has a 90.2 PFF grade right now, which is really good. So PFF kind of considers the average player to be 60 to 65 PFF grade. 70 is a good starter. 80 is like a legit starter. 90 plus is like really, really good. All conference, all American type guys. That is 9th in the FBS among qualifying quarterbacks.
Goodness. I mean, Davis, he's been efficient the first 2 games. I hope he can keep it up against Wisconsin because, I mean, Wisconsin's obviously shown that defense is not that good.
No, it's not. I thought that Fickle was going to have Wisconsin looking right this year. I think I had them to win the Big Ten West, and they're not showing it so far.
I mean, 19-point dogs this Saturday against Wisconsin. I mean, it's going to be interesting. But going back to the last game, O.J. Arnold, running back, he threw for a touchdown pass. I mean, he was all over the place. I mean, I think he had 50, 60 yards on the ground, threw 30-yard touchdown pass. I mean, he had a great game. And Caleb Hood set the school record for reception yards in a career at Georgia Southern. So shout out Caleb Hood, fellow water hose drinker.
Congratulations, Caleb. That's awesome, man.
But, man, I mean, I was really, really, really proud. I thought, defense needs to be better come conference play, but UAB is a damn good football team.
UAB is a good football team.
I mean, they're a very well-coached team, in my opinion.
Trent Dilfer is the head coach, right?
Yep.
That's wild.
Yeah, and the only thing that I will critique that might bite us in the ass down the road is penalties. Got to clean up on the penalties.
How do you feel about plus 19 at Wisconsin?
If I were a gambling man, but I don't bet, I would absolutely hammer it.
Like if you had a friend in Nevada You would
Yeah.
ask me about
A
it.
friend like Pepe.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'd hammer.
What does Georgia Southern have to do, and what does Wisconsin have to do / not do for Georgia Southern to pull the upset?
I think we got to have a good pass rush because I think Wisconsin has been known for a good O line in their history, and I still do think that they have an above average O line. I think if we get after the quarterback, put pressure on Mordecai, I think is his name.
SMU transfer.
Yeah. I mean, I think they'll be good. I think our secondary has really stepped up, but man, defense has got to have a good ball game. They really do to be able to win because the offense is going to be able to put up some yards and points.
All right. I mean, 19 is a much lower spread than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it started off at 17.5.
And I think that Vegas is waking up and seeing the potential of this Georgia Southern team, which I think is very high.
But yeah, I mean, I do agree. But bettors have obviously we've seen some early action heading towards Wisconsin, which makes me want to take Georgia Southern even more.
Well, you heard that. If you are in a state where sports gambling is legal, which is now legal in Kentucky, do you see that?
Really?
They opened
No, I did not see that.
like 10 sports books in the first day. It's pretty cool. So if you're in Kentucky, Georgia Southern Eagles plus 19.5.
And if anybody's listening is in Madison, Wisconsin this weekend, I will be there. Please come and find me. Let's hang out. Let's go grab a drink. Who knows? We'll have a good time. Jacksonville Jaguars. Give me your rundown.
31-21, road win over the Colts. Jags fan base seemed dissatisfied after the game, had issues, and I just think back to 3 or 4 years ago, if we won by 10 over the Colts in Indianapolis, it would have been an upset.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we covered 5.5 points, and people are just nitpicking, finding issues. Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley connection is going to be unreal. I mean, Ridley could push for 1,200, 1,500 yards. Run game looked good. Offensive line did a good job, not a great job. Defense looked really good. Trayvon Walker finally getting some pass rush wins.
He did look really good.
Tyson Campbell is looking in prime form. I mean, I legit think that Tyson Campbell is a top 10 cornerback. I know it's going to sound like bias, but I think that's straight facts. Going into or have Kansas City at home next week,
Yeah.
which we went 0-2 against Kansas City last year.
Did you see that one throw that Trevor, he was kind of like on the side and threw it in that really tight window to Calvin Ridley between two defenders?
I thought that was an interception until I saw Calvin Ridley turn it upfield.
There was one play, speaking of getting upfield, Calvin Ridley caught a ball, and you just see Travis Etienne come out of nowhere and try to get the downfield block. Man, talk about a team player.
Dude, I'm telling you, ever since Doug Peterson has gotten here, you can tell a visible difference of the buy-in from all of the players.
Yeah.
I think that they really respect him. I think he's got a good rapport with the players, and you're just seeing effort that you haven't seen in years past.
You want to get to the elephant in the room? Can we have a moment of silence to a fellow water hose drinker, Mr. Aaron Rodgers?
That's for you, Aaron.
People on Spotify are going to be so confused if you're just listening to it.
Just let them wonder.
Yeah, so the Jets won. I was extremely, extremely pleased with the defense, man. I want to say this might be the best defense in the NFL.
They looked so good.
And
So good.
Quinnen Williams is insane. And Sauce Gardner statistically had the worst game of his career. He let up under 60 yards receiving and had like 5 passes caught on him. No touchdowns. The worst game of his career.
That's nuts.
But man, wide receivers look good. I was really proud of that. O-line has got a lot of work to do. But man, Aaron Rodgers, dude.
4 snaps. 4 snaps is all it took.
I'm just It finally set in, I think, yesterday or today. But dude, it's crazy how all of that happened, and the NFL really needs to ban turf fields, and I'm a huge just advocate on that. And I just think as much money as these organizations have, everything needs to be grass.
So I got some interesting facts about turf, actually. It really blew up in the 1950s or 60s. It's a really interesting study that the military did in the 1950s, where they found that urban children were not as in good shape as rural and suburban children. And so basically they determined that, or they thought a leading factor in that was not having grassy areas to play in as kids. And so they started putting turf areas, playgrounds, parks, stuff like that in these urban areas, thinking that it would help narrow the gap, which I don't think really made much sense. But anyways, that's how it got start. Houston Astros were the first major sports team to have turf in their stadium. That's why it's kind of nicknamed AstroTurf. Well, 16 out of 32 NFL teams have turf. Other 16 have real grass. Interesting study by the NFL Players Association president, J.C. Tretter, did an independent study and sent a petition to the NFL about getting rid of turf fields. 28% higher rate of non-contact lower extremity injuries on turf compared to grass. 32% higher rate of knee injuries on turf compared to grass. And a 69% higher rate of injury to the foot or ankle on turf compared to grass.
You say 69?
I did say 69.
People are not going to forget that. Dude, I mean, David Bakhtiari is even going crazy about it on social media too. I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, they can easily do all this. And if anybody wants to go look up video, go look up how Real Madrid stores their grass. It's really, really interesting.
It is mind-boggling. So Real Madrid has this like $250 million system where they essentially move their field down section by section, and they have a full-on underground greenhouse that keeps the grass watered, lit, maintained when they're not using it. The Cardinals and the Raiders have really cool systems where they drag the entirety of their field out of the stadium to get sun every week, put it back in like a day before. This, yes, it's $250 million. Yes, it takes a lot to maintain, but what is the cost of costing your team a shot at a Super Bowl?
100%. Keeping all your players healthy.
Keeping all your players healthy.
And I mean, every NFL organization has $250 million they can spend.
Easily.
Gambling corner. How'd you do last week?
2-1, baby. We talked about Texas, +7 hit. Texas A&M, I had them -3. Did not look good at all. Nebraska, Colorado, under 65. I think people thought that was going to be a shootout. I never thought Nebraska's offense was that good. So 2-1, 4-2 on the year so far.
Good shit. Good shit. I went 3-4 last week. Georgia Southern -6.5. Absolute lock of the century. I lost Nebraska money line. Thought they were going to win. Bad bet. I won the Packers money line. Great bet. Absolutely kicked the shit out of the Bears. And I took the over in the Georgia game. So thanks to Ball State's field goal, it hit.
Very nice.
So I am 4-7 on the year. So my picks this week, I got a familiar team, University of Alabama Birmingham, -2.5 versus Louisiana Lafayette.
Okay.
I also got a money line for you. I got the Texans over the Colts. I think the Texans get a win this week.
One rookie quarterback's going to win their first game.
Got to. And I have an under as well. Nebraska, Northern Illinois, under 43.
Nebraska, Illinois, under 43. I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's two really good defenses.
What you got?
I got for this week, Washington -16 versus Michigan State. You know, a whole lot of off-the-field issues going on at Michigan State. Feels like a distracted team. And Washington, I think they're being slept on. I love Michael Penix. I really do.
Washington's got a good team, man. I mean, I think they're really good. And I mean, I think they might be a sleeper in that conference, to be honest with you.
Oh, I think that the Pac-12 is way more wide open than everybody thinks it is. I feel like people have this image of USC and then everybody else, and I think it's USC, Oregon, Utah, Washington, Oregon State, UCLA, and then everybody else.
Utah they didn't really have a good game this past Saturday. I mean,
No,
they won,
looked,
but
they haven't looked the same without Cam Rising.
yeah, for sure.
Second pick, I got BYU and Arkansas over 47.5. It's the second leg of the home and home in Arkansas, and love KJ Jefferson over 47.5. Smash it. Life's too short for the under. Nick Chubb rushing over 81.5 yards. His over is 12-5 in the last 17 games. It's a no-brainer for me every Sunday when
We got our first prop bet.
no-brainer for me when I'm giving out recommendations to friends that live in other states. But
Because we do not bet. Please call 1-800-GAMBLER if you do. But yeah, I mean, that's our first prop bet. Nobody's
I'm happy
taken
to bring
one
it
yet.
on.
Let's go. Let's hope it hits. You know what time it is.
time for Pepe.
Pepe's weekly 4-pack straight off the zero turn Toro. Pepe, he said he did well last week. Did very well. Texas Tech did not hit for him. Tulane did not hit for him. And what was his other one? Did he have the Packers?
That Texas Tech Oregon game was freaking unreal.
Oh, no.
31-30, 45 seconds left. Texas Tech has the ball on their own side of the field, trying to march down, and all they needed was a field goal, and then Oregon got a pick six. The backdoor of all backdoor covers.
Yeah, Pepe lost the Colts.
I told him. That was the only pick I faded him on. I told him.
Lost Texas Tech, and won Kansas, and lost Tulane. So Pepe is not on a good streak right now, but he said he still was in the positive. He said it was only a couple $1,000, so it's not really like him. But guys, we got to remember, we're just finished week 1 in the NFL, just finished week 2 in college football. We got a long road ahead of us.
Pepe called me up this morning. He said, I'm changing the oil in the zero-turn Toro. Things are looking up. What's Pepe's 4-pack this week?
So, Pepe, he has Packers -1 versus the Atlanta Falcons.
And that is in Atlanta, isn't it?
Yes, I
I feel
think
like
so.
if it was in Lambeau, the spread would be a little bit bigger.
LSU -9.5 versus Mississippi State. Nebraska -11.5 versus Northern Illinois. Seems like we're going to be chasing Nebraska until they get the first win.
Nebraska is dangerously close to, if I were to have a do not bet list, to being on my do not bet list.
And last one he's got for us is BYU +8 versus the Razorbacks of Arkansas.
Hey, that probably helps my over, so we're tailing Pepe.
Dude, Pepe's going to have a good week. Like you said, change the oil a little bit. You know, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Sharpen the blades, maybe lube them up a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just he's going to get back right for us.
That zero-turn Toro is going to be back to cutting 2-inch grass in no time.
And, you know, Pepe, he's a profitable guy. You know, he's a real shark.
There's a reason why he has his own segment.
100%. And last thing I got for the gambling is we do not gamble. And if you're in Middle Georgia, please come to our Gamblers Anonymous chapter.
We meet every Wednesday in the Chick-fil-A parking lot.
Or Waffle House.
Or Walmart. Location changes. I'll text you.
So, Al, who's your winner of the week?
Winner of the week, Philadelphia Eagles. Grinded out a gritty game against the Pats, but that's not why they're the winners of the week. Because they had the stones, the set, to take Jalen Carter at number 9 when he had so much just bad aura surrounding him. And he led the league in pressures last week. He looks damn near unblockable. I am so in love with the fact that they are uncorking him as a pass rusher. He's now playing beside Jordan Davis and Fletcher Cox. He's got other dudes that can eat up those double and triple teams and let him just go get after the quarterback. And he showed what he can do. Game-clutching sack again on Mac Jones. I mean, he just looks incredible. I think that was such a steal at 9.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I wanted Atlanta to get him, but they drafted Bijan instead.
Which he had a good game, too.
Yeah, I'm not hating on Bijan at all, but Jalen Carter might have been the steal of that draft.
He might have been, man. Sometimes, and rightfully so, people put a lot of stock into off-the-field issues. And sometimes you got to think about it like a business and go get the best player.
True. My winner of the week is Marquise Watson Trent, a fellow water hose drinker, friend of the podcast. And that reason being is Mar had 14 tackles, 8 solos, and 1.5 tackles for loss. I mean, watching that game this past Saturday, he was all over the place, man. I remember looking at my dad. I'd be like, how many tackles does he have? Like, it feels like virtually every single play he was making the tackle. I mean, he had himself a hell of a football game, and hopefully he can have himself an even better game this weekend against Wisconsin.
He's going to need it, man. Wisconsin's offense, there is talent there. They got Braylon Allen at running back. I mean, they're always going to have a good offensive line.
I feel like it might be another shootout from what we saw against Georgia Southern and Nebraska last year.
Really?
I think it's going to be a good offensive shootout. And
what's the total in that game?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Because I'm not a gambling man, you know. But,
yeah. Didn't know if you had a buddy tell you or maybe accidentally saw it on the internet or something like that.
I would call Pepe right now, but if I did that, we can't reveal his identity.
Oh, we never could. We'd have to use a voice mod.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to do that. So, who's your loser?
You people. For those unfamiliar, there's a podcaster named Josh Pate. He does college football, does a great job. He puts out weekly power ratings on Twitter. Not rankings. These are not rankings, they're power ratings. Power ratings are based off of who would be favored on a neutral field. His power ratings are his top 10: Georgia, Texas, FSU, Ohio State, Michigan, Bama, USC, Penn State, Oregon, and Tennessee at 10th. People do not understand the difference between power ratings and rankings, even when he has explained it dozens of times. And his comments are always flooded with Nimrods. Oh, Bama just lost to Texas by 10. You got them at number 6. Oh, this team should be higher. This team should be lower. And my losers of the week are people that cannot understand that simple concept, simple difference. You guys are losers.
Freaking Nimrods. My loser of the week is this guy I was arguing with on Twitter the other day with. He is unfortunately a Georgia State fan. I guess he goes by Kyle. Despicable. And this guy's Twitter handle, if you want to give him a shout on Twitter, is @HoundXDad.
Drop the link and everything.
And I mean, this guy, I was trying to be a little moderator and not really kind of jumping in at him. And I was like, I got on Water Hose Drinkers Podcast Twitter account, and I was like, somebody debate this man, me and Alec will moderate the debate, which I thought would be funny. And this guy was like, oh, so why don't you debate me? I was like, okay. So this is your formal invite. I and my co-host Alec will debate you, Kyle.
Come on, Kyle.
Or Hound Dad, whatever the hell your name is. I mean, I will debate you right here, right now. And let's go. I mean, you said, oh, I'm not scared to come on a podcast, blah, blah, blah. Put your money where your mouth is and come debate us.
I'll debate you at the next GA meeting.
Let's go. I told him we'll debate him in Georgia State game. And he's trying to tell me all this stuff about how Georgia State this, Georgia State that. Know what? Shut up. Come debate us. Put your money where your mouth is and let's go. Come debate us, Hound Dad.
You heard it here, Kyle. You've been called out.
You have been called out.
Winner of the week?
Mount Rushmore.
Did you do your winner?
Yeah, I did. It was more.
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore. Today we're doing
Tyler's
a Mount
got me all.
Rushmore of fast food. So, and this is not like, we're not counting Five Guys in this and Moe's or places like that because they're fast casual. Strictly drive through like a McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, whatever. But speaking of Chick-fil-A in this case is a God tier. So basically, it's not even going to make the list because it breaks the scale. Like
It was obviously going to be both of our number ones.
Yeah,
So Chick-fil-A's out. I have the floor.
You have the floor.
I feel like you're going to like these. Honorable mention. McDonald's. I'm not saying the food is great, but the childhood memories, the playgrounds, the Happy Meals, they deserve an honorable mention. Now, I'm going to go no particular order with these because I had a hard time ranking them. So we're starting off with Cane's, best fast food chicken place. Freddy's, some of the best fast food burgers. Dunkin' Donuts, outside of Chick-fil-A, best fast food breakfast. And finally, Cookout. It was there for me in college, open late, cheap, tons of options, milkshakes, Cookout. That is in no particular order. That's my Mount Rushmore.
Excellent. For me, honorable mention goes to Popeyes.
Okay.
Louisiana fast, and the only reason, not the only reason, I love Popeyes. The chicken's awesome. Chicken biscuit's pretty damn good. Doesn't beat Chick-fil-A's, but it's pretty damn good. But, you know, at Georgia Southern games, me and my family and our friends, we always have Popeyes chicken at the tailgate. So that Popeyes chicken just really just hits close to home for me. Just makes me think about being in Statesboro for football games. Number 4, McDonald's. Like you said, good childhood memories. And the food is good, okay? Best fries in the world. And I don't know what the burger is, but I like it too. I love a good Big Mac. 3, dude, Zaxby's. Zaxby's is truly just undefeated, man. Big Zax snack, tossed in that honey hot mustard. 2, Taco Bell, dude. I absolutely love Taco Bell, and Taco Bell hot sauce is undefeated. Number 1, for all you Middle Georgia people, hands down, number 1, New Way Wieners. If you're ever passing through Macon, or hell, they even got one in Warner Robins. New Way is absolutely amazing. Best hot dog you will ever eat in your entire life. And get it all the way.
Reliable.
Well, guys, that's all we got for y'all today. And thanks for watching. And be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast and follow us on Twitter and YouTube and Spotify. Thank you. Welcome back to Water Hose Drinkers. Today we are here with Georgia Southern defensive lineman Kerryon Smith, who actually just earned a scholarship today. So congratulations to you.
Appreciate you.
Hey, first question I got for you. Give me your best Coach Helton impression.
We're prancing.
You know, coming out of high school, you know, Fitzgerald, y'all are dominant pretty much every single year.
Right.
You know, being so close to home, you know, was that a factor in coming to Georgia Southern at all?
Well, yeah, facts. My mama, she always like had in mind for me to go to Georgia Southern when I started getting like scholarship offers or whatever to play football early in high school. She always kind of knew and kind of always wanted me to be at Georgia Southern since it's close to home.
Was it challenging for you, you know, obviously you had a lot of competition you faced every day in high school and obviously here too. Was it a challenge for you defensively, you know, learning new schemes, stuff like that?
Well, not really because like I plan on being a football coach one day. So I kind of like the challenge of learning the new playbooks, learning the new schemes, and learning more things about the game.
For sure.
So I'm up for the challenge. It
For
wasn't
sure.
too bad at all.
And, you know, last year, you know, I got a couple stats for you. You know, you had a big stop against
Nebraska at the end of that game on the goal line, and you had a couple stops against App State as well. Are those two games, which one was more memorable for you? The double overtime or beating Nebraska there?
I'm gonna have to say App State because it was at home. Wouldn't want to do it nowhere else. Paulson Stadium.
For sure.
Third down stop, that was big.
That was awesome. I mean, I remember you coming in there and making that stop against App State. I mean, man, I think not just me, but this whole stadium, just lit up. And, you had 4 tackles that game as well. What gets you fired up the most on the field? Like whether it be a sack or just the defense makes a big stop or...
It's coming back to the sideline and feeling the energy from the rest of my teammates. That's the best feeling.
And when you walked on here at Georgia Southern and you finally got a scholarship, you've really grinded your way to, be on that field and you've really earned your spot. Is it something that you feel like, you obviously feel like you belong there, but, do you feel like, how, I guess what I'm saying is, do you feel like you belong and you feel like you can come out there and attack the centers or the guards or whatever it is? Do you feel like you can dominate the game week in and week out?
Well, right. Well, actually, like the mindset I always had, like regardless of how I got here, I was brought here to play football.
Yeah.
So I was gonna do whatever it was needed to do to get the job done from the get go. But it is a little bit easier not knowing that that everything's taken care of. I can focus on all ball. So that's big.
For sure. Last question I got for you is, what are you excited for the most this upcoming year?
I'm ready to see the defense put on like we're supposed to, put out how we're supposed
For
to.
sure. Y'all got some studs on that defense. Watching practice today, y'all are gonna get after that quarterback.
Right.
And you've obviously proven yourself that you can do that. So, congrats on the scholarship, man. Thank you for having
Appreciate you.
you on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me here.
Welcome back to Water Hose Drinkers. Today we are here with Georgia Southern running back Tyler Jordan. First off, thank you. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
So there's only one right answer here. Me or Davis Brin? Who's your quarterback?
No, I'm going with you.
Always. Oh. So, coming from, junior college at GMC, what brought you to Georgia Southern? Obviously, being from Macon, it's close to home, but, why Georgia Southern?
This actually was a crazy story because, I was actually committed to Arkansas State, and then Coach App came here, and the opportunity presented itself. It was close to home, and I was familiar with the area, so I was like, why not come here?
For sure. And, coming from Georgia Military College and here, what's the biggest difference for you?
Definitely facility-wise, just being able to have, more, staff treatment-wise, being able to have a, health, and with Miss Eliza, we didn't have that at junior college. We had a locker room that was by the field, and it was kind of similar to high school, really.
Yeah.
And college, especially on the Division I level, you just have more outlets and more things with just football-wise that we didn't have at junior college.
Last year, you saw, predominantly special teams roles,
Mhm.
but, you really stepped up when your number was called,
Yeah.
Every single time, 2 scores should have been 3 against Appalachian State last year. I guess kind of walk me through, what the process is for you, how to stay sharp mentally, when your name's called to come in at running back,
Well, I always just train like a starter, just beginning of the week, Monday, stay in film, just getting a scouting report of the team. And that last year, you just always had to stay ready. A lot of people went down, so I stayed in the role like I was a starter and stay ready. Then when my time was called, I made the best of my opportunity.
For sure. And you obviously showed that, last year. Like I said earlier, when your number was called, you really stepped up and, carried that ball and ran over everybody in your way. But, going back to the junior college, I guess high school too, coming from Stratford and, we ran the wing T.
Mhm.
I mean, the ball was in your hands virtually every single play in high school. How is that role from a predominant running offense to now, we're throwing the ball a lot more?
Yeah, so it kind of was it was kind of good and bad for me because of course I got the ball, I scored a lot, but it also affected me recruitment wise because nobody's really running wing T that much. So
Yeah.
as I went to junior college, it went more to like a spread, so I had to really learn the concepts of the spread coming from a wing T, but. I feel like I adjusted well. I mean, you play running back, you know how to run the ball. I always knew how to catch, so
Yeah.
it wasn't really a bad
I mean,
transition.
you played defensive back in high school as
Yeah.
well too. So I mean, you at least got that side of catching the ball, like you said, and I guess scheme wise, do you find it difficult in the passing game?
Nah, it's really easy. Just like you're saying, you really have to just watch film and just know the protection wise, know who's getting who, and then once you know all that, you can really play relax and catching the ball. That's just something you did all your life, just playing as a kid catching the ball. So
I feel like not only if you're not running a route when we're throwing the ball, I feel like you're a very solid blocker.
Yeah.
Protecting the quarterback too. So I feel like you're really a truly complete running back. in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah, I really take pride at protection wise because that's how you stay on the field longer, like on the third downs and being able to take the quarterback, and that also builds trust with your coaches knowing that they can keep you in no matter what the down and distance is.
100%, 100%. And last question I got for you is, what are you most excited for this upcoming season? Just whether it be getting back out there, or maybe the Coastal Carolina game in Statesboro, or playing at a half, whatever it may be.
Really just everything, just blessed to have the opportunity. But as you know, I'm really excited to go play at Wisconsin. One of our high school alumni went there. So I'm really excited to get up there and play up there as well. And just this team, I feel like we're like really close as a unit. I'm excited to go to war with those guys and of course get a lot of get back on those teams, Coastal, that one definitely.
Yeah, we need to
Yeah.
get that game back this year.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna get that one back.
This podcast, we're not a fan of Grayson McCall at all here, at all, at all. But like you said, Wisconsin, shout out Quintez Cephas as well. Hopefully he can make it to that game. But thank you, Tyler. I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.